Good morning, everyone. I wasn't muted, so you can all hear my hoarse voice that decided to show up today. My name is Carissa Raya, and I'm the Director of Community Partnerships for Latinx Parenting, nearly celebrating my 2 years working with Leslie Piscila, our founder. She was unable to be here today, so I am covering for her, and I'm really excited for this. I have done moderation for her when she usually facilitates, but now I get to do this for this series. I'm really looking forward to hearing this chat between Juan Carlos and DJ. Before I get into that, let me just intro a little bit more about the series before I get too ahead of myself. Good morning. Thank you everyone for introducing yourselves in the chat and getting started, telling us where you're coming from. This is the third Saturday of the third annual Brown Fatherhood series. It first started in 2020, and that's where I got to meet and got to know virtually Juan Carlos, the modern macho, and also the other fathers that were part of that series. And then last year, I had the honor and privilege of supporting Leslie as part of the team and coordinating all the speakers that were in the 2021 series, 2022 series. And then this year, here we are again, and we got to get together a collection of fathers for this series. And I do want to say in the beginning here now that we have something really exciting coming next weekend, so stay tuned for that. But we actually have a panel next weekend of 4 fathers that Juan Carlos will be interviewing. And we're doing it in person and live streaming it. So that's different, it's new, and I love the evolution of the Brown Fatherhood series and where it's evolved to this year. If you haven't already seen, if you are in need of Spanish interpretation, click the Spanish interpretation button at the bottom of the screen. Let's see. So I am tuning in here from Orange County, or unceded lands of the Ajaccimen and Tongva people. Born and raised in Santa Ana, California, and very near and dear to my heart, this land is. And like I mentioned, I'm the Director of Community Partnerships, so I support Latinx parenting with all things partnership related, professional partnerships, social media campaigns, community partnerships like our Instagram Lives, anything that relates to the outside community and working with us. You will likely talk to me via email. I set up meetings with folks, and so if you want to get in touch with me and have any ideas for partnership, then please get in touch with me. I also have another comadre, Danelia, in the chat, who is part of the partnerships team and part of the Latinx parenting team. So feel free to engage there in the chat. I want to welcome on Juan Carlos, who like I mentioned, had the privilege of meeting virtually via the Brown Fatherhood series in 2020. I have met him and been in community with him now in these past few years working with Leslie, and have loved getting to know him, especially through being the interviewer for this series. I've learned so much about his work as his personal work, his journey, right, into therapy, raising a young boy who just had a birthday. Happy birthday to Juan Carlos's son, the oldest son in his family, the electricians. I've loved to get to know you, Juan Carlos. So I'd love to welcome him onto here, and let's see if we can get him here. Oops. We're just experiencing a little technical glitch. Give us one moment as we do that.
so we can see our guests, because that's not for some reason allowing me, but we're getting it all situated here. I was just telling the team that I am not a Zoom wizard like Leslie is, who has all the experience. So just bear with us, and I know we want to get started. Thank you all for logging on. Please continue to share where you're tuning in from. I see the video is getting started. And let us know if this is your first Saturday joining in, if you joined in last week for Benjamin's, and if you joined in for the very first Saturday for Eric Cardenas's chat from Zocalo Health. Okay, I can see you, Juan Carlos.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Good? All right. Thank you for that introduction. I appreciate you. And yeah, shout out to Julian. Grown little 8-year-old, man. It's been great.
Yes, 8 years old.
Pleasure and honor being his dad, man. It really is. It really is. Good morning to everyone. I'm looking here at the chat. Looks like everyone's we got shout outs from Lake Forest I'm seeing in here. We've got Portland in the house. We've got Hanford, Placentia. We've got New York, Boston. Shout out to all you guys. Good morning. First and foremost, I want to give a huge thank you to the Latinx team for having me, for trusting me with this space, with hosting such a great virtual event and live event next week that I think is so powerful. Just really trying to bring the community together. A big shout out to all the Modern Macho supporters, everybody that really encourages us, supports us, validates us, and even challenges us sometimes, because we are wrong about things that we say sometimes, and that's how we grow, is being able to have mature conversations of some of the things that we say, and trying to head in the right direction, right? And so a big shout out to Eric, to Benjamin, and to today's guest, my guy DJ. I want to quickly invite and to celebrate everybody that's here. As I always say, it's not about being perfect. It's about putting in the effort and doing our best. And so we're all here for a reason. So I hope that you guys are all giving yourself your flowers for that, and reminding yourself to be nice to yourself, be your own best friend. And so without further ado, today's guest, we have my guy DJ Farias, Portugal, aka DJ. He was born and raised in South Central LA, where he witnessed a cross-section of the injustices our communities experience. He has volunteered and worked in a variety of capacities with the intent of identifying how he could individually have the most efficient impact in healing our communities, while also advocating and demanding justice from systems and institutions. DJ has seen the healing and empowerment that comes from families taking time to reclaim and spend time with public lands. He advocates for time in nature as a form of therapy within the behavioral health system, and has successfully organized multiple hikes, fishing, and camping trips with young people and families with several nonprofit, state agencies, and organizations. Mr. DJ, welcome.
Thank you, Juan Carlos. Glad I could be here. I think the video is working now. There we go.
I think we're good.
Cool.
Can everybody, just real quick in the chat, can everybody see us? All right, we're good. We're good. Okay, right on. Thank you guys. Mr. DJ, good morning, bro. How are you?
Yeah, doing all right. Been looking forward to this. I was able to jump into Benjamin's conversation last week, and ever since I just been really excited to kind of meet with you, chat, and kind of explore this journey of fatherhood. So super excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I think for me it's been great, really just to talk to other dudes, man, honestly, and hear their stories, and it's very validating, and it's a breath of fresh air knowing that I'm not the only one going through stuff like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the more conversations we have, I realize that, we are all so special and different, yet not that far off from each other, So let's get started, bro. South Central LA. I'm sure that was a very nice and peaceful and calm upbringing for you, right? Share with us a little bit about that, bro.
Yeah. So my family's from the Florence Firestone district in South Los Angeles, and it's one of those things where the fish kind of don't see the water that they swim in, right? Like you just, there's a culture there, lots of beauty, but also lots of pain and lots of trauma. And, it's one of those things that the further away I've gotten from that, growing up, I was able to kind of recognize some of those shortcomings, even as a kid, I was always really aware of the hurt that my community faced. Cousins, friends, falling into kind of gang culture and drugs and crime and just also being able to see the full story, right? Not just what's on the news, not just that, oh, these are bad things, but be able to see what the home lives look like, to see where the brokenness is, to see where the need is for resource. And so that kind of was my foundation that really kind of motivated me to do what I do, to explore the career that I've got and get the education that I've got and try to get the skills that I've got. It all comes from this understanding that we've got to take care of home if we want to have communities are built of families, right? And so if we want to improve our community, it starts with the family. The family, all I can control is myself. So first and foremost, I gotta get myself in line and together.
I love that, bro. I love that. Yeah. It's such a beautiful thing, right? Like influence, right? The influence that we have. And sometimes I know I've been guilty of dreaming big and wanting to like change the world, right? How can I help all the men out there? And then I check myself and I'm like, brother, you got a little man right in front of you that needs you more than ever. And you can
Yeah.
create a lot more impact influencing that. So I love how you simplified that. I wanted to ask you, you brought up a good point, which is when it's where you're, I mean, when it's your home where you're born, sometimes that's all we know, right? And I think something very powerful with your work is that not only are you able to educate yourself and to really put resources on the table about it, but like you've lived it, right? Like you get it from the inside, right? And so I wanted to ask you, like, when did you start questioning a lot of this, right? Like obviously you're at a point now to be able to help the communities because of the wisdom that you now have, but like where was that point in your life where you're like, some of this is not right, or like there's different ways of going about things, these aren't healthy, I want to help?
Yeah. Yeah. I ended up going to uh being that that we lived where we lived. My parents wanted a better education for me. To them, that meant sending me to a Catholic middle school, and most of my high school was at a Catholic school. And I remember going to school and hearing these conversations of morality and spirituality, and just contrasting that with the reality that I saw. You know, and so I always tried. I always recognized that something was missing. Even in the gap of sharing and reflecting on these spiritual teachings, right? On how they get enacted. How do we actually see them come about in our community? And I would say even like in my teen years, I started to volunteer. I worked with the youth group at my church, and I would just try to be a good friend. I would try to be a good friend to my friends and to other young people. And I remember my youth minister at the time, my comadre now, Kenya, shout out to her. She's like, DJ, she's like, you can't be telling people what to do, because people would come to me and I would be like, oh, maybe you should try this, maybe you should try that, and give advice, And she's like, DJ, you can't do that. You're not qualified. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not qualified? She's like, yeah. She's like, you're just a kid. Like you don't. She's like, you have to go to school or something. She didn't even really know. She's only a couple years older than me. And I was like, well, what do I have to go to school for? I think it was it ended up at this point it was my freshman year at Arizona State University. I was like, what do I have to go to school for? And she's like, I don't know, social work or psychology, sociology, one of those things, And at the time, my major was architecture, and I was like, well, all right, bet I'm gonna explore those. And I signed up for the 101 course in all those, and I realized, okay, there's something here. There's these skills. There's this way of viewing human behavior, human relationships from a scientific lens. I think I had that spiritual morality foundation, and what I realized was needed was some skills for how do you enact that. What are some practices, and yeah, so I at a young age, I guess I would say that I recognize there was this lacking in a skill set, and the good news is, I mean, skills can be learned. It's not like you have to have a talent for being a dad. It's not like you have to have a talent for being a good man. It's there's skills, and you can build them. You can get better.
Yeah, I love that, bro. I love that. We're all capable, right? Like we're all worthy of it more than anything, right? Because I
Mm.
think it's so dope to be able to be a dad, right? Speaking of skills, we had a conversation about this a little bit. Mental health, right? And going through our own individual journeys, whether it's, you mentioned having suicidal thoughts and, even having to deal with depression and things like that. And as a man in this world, right, we can have a difficult time sometimes doing that, bro. You talk about skills. And so I kind of want to just have a very, very intentional conversation here about therapy. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I ended up graduating with a bachelor's in social work. I wasn't a very good student. I had undiagnosed ADHD and didn't know it at the time. I mean, I knew something was wrong because I sucked at school. It was really hard for me. It took me, 5.5 years to get a 4-year degree. So I knew something was off. But again, it's one of those things where it's like it's not really talked about in our communities. I think people try to shy away from labels and diagnosis, and I get it. But with that comes being able to recognize, well, hey, you're not alone. Other people have these same experiences and these same symptoms, and there's remedies. There's things you can do. Um, I again had this brain knowledge, but didn't have it in my heart, and it wasn't like part of my instinct. Uh, I was very lucky to find the love of my life at a very young age. Perla, aka Chicana Mama. I think she's probably here. So I love you. But I found her at a young age, and we got married. We were just talking about this. I think I was 22. Um, and so we were young, and all my friends, everybody's like, "Oh, why are you getting married? You're young." And I just knew that whatever I did in life, I wanted to do it with this person. She was a good teammate, a good friend, and I didn't really know what else there was more to look for. So I was like, it makes sense, like, to do life with this person. And so we got married. 2 years in, like all relationships, all long-term relationships, you get to some rocky ground, and it's really easy to think that, like, all your trouble when you're in a relationship, anyways. I feel like it's really easy to think like all the stresses, all the struggle that I'm facing is the other person. It's a really easy kind of scapegoat when you're in a relationship, and sometimes, and again, we're all human. Relationships take two people, but I think, especially as men and how we're conditioned, we often think that we're in the right. We're conditioned to have this confidence about who we are, that isn't part of the culture, for women and non-binary folks in our communities. And we ended up going to therapy because I was, we were both at this place in our marriage where we realized, this wasn't going to work the way we were going about it. And so we ended up going to therapy, and that's kind of what my therapist said. She said a lot of people come to therapy because they want a referee for their marriage. They want a referee to say who's right and who's wrong. And she's like, I'm gonna tell you, you both got work to do. And she said something that really stuck out to me. She said, um, uh, Perla is your best sparring partner. She's matched to bring out to step on all the weaknesses and flaws, and bring those out of you. Because it's part of that natural connection that you all have. And she said you could go and you can find some. She told me, she's like, you got a green light. If you want to walk away from this marriage, go ahead, go do it. But I guarantee you are attracted to certain aspects of a person that also come with these same challenges and barriers that test you. And so she said, you can walk away and you can go find somebody else, but I guarantee you there's still going to be work, there's still going to be conflict, and all you can control is you. And it was really one of those things where I'm like, I had learned and heard some of this in school, but it wasn't until my life essentially depended on it, because this rockiness in my marriage really affected my worldview. It affected what I thought I deserved and was going to get out of life. This picture perfect family, and no bumps in the road, and then we'd have our house with the white picket fence and our 2.5 kids or whatever. This was it was a big trigger for me. It brought up a lot of my childhood stuff, which I think is usually the foundation for all the work that we have to do. It starts with, when we started to develop, and that's in our childhood. So I had to do a lot of work to just get right with myself, because I realized, I'm like, okay, putting the marriage on hold for a minute, like that not being my goal being to be a better me, because now my therapist is pointing out that no matter where I go, I still gotta be good with me, and I realized I wasn't, I started to look back, and I would see these patterns of depression and anxiety in my life, and for me, a lot of it came from, uh, from having to live with ADHD and not knowing how to manage my symptoms. For me, that was my story.
Yeah.
Um, but but yeah, as I've progressed, that was, this is going to be our 13th year of marriage, so we've come a long way since then, and I still have these bouts of depression and anxiety, and for me, part of that, the stress is built on this idea, like, I'm doing the work, I'm doing the work, I'm trying, like, why isn't it getting easier? um which, I think it just comes down to it's all about the story that you tell yourself, right? And when I'm in those dark places, the story I'm telling myself is that, like, I'm hustling, I'm grinding, and I realize I still have so much unlearning to do with machismo, because I think a lot of the pressure that I put on myself is the toxic part of what we expect of men, and I'm not making enough money for my family. I'm not being a good enough partner. And for me, I really try to have better standards for myself. And, I'm not doing enough of the housework. And these things that I carry with me. And I like what you said earlier about, it's not about being perfect. And that's something that I think I struggle with, and I'm continuing to work through.
Dude, you dropped so many gems in there, bro. Thank you for sharing all of that. I resonate with that a lot. Because I found myself, like, my first therapy session, I remember asking my therapist asking me what my goal was, and I was like, "Ah, I figure 6 sessions, and then we'll get this all dialed in." Like, I already had my game plan, bro. Like, I'm gonna get in and get out, and we're money. Like, we're gonna be good to go. And it's something that I feel like over the years, now almost 4 years now, 3 years of going to therapy, that I'm like, it's really, as you said, it's really getting to know yourself and understanding that there are parts of me that are not supposed to go away, that I'm not supposed to erase. I'm supposed to kind of, like, I have to give love to them and handle them in different ways. Um, and something you brought up too, like this pressure of being a man, where it's like we have to reek of confidence. And I realized that through that overcompensation, it's like it was an insecurity, right? Like, it was
Mm,
just insecurities of, I actually don't know what I'm doing, but I'm supposed to because I'm a man,
yeah,
and
yeah,
unfortunately, my lack of confidence didn't allow me to make mistakes and really get in the trenches and gain some real confidence of, like, oh, I can be assertive, or I can be just loving for myself, right? It's like I was essentially faking it, dude. Like, fake it till you make it, just kind of, I think
yeah,
a lot of us as men just kind of get thrown in the deep end, and it's like, can you swim or not,
yeah,
Um
yeah,
and one of the things that I also happened to me, dude, when I so as an electrician, I've been doing that for 10 years. About 2 years ago, I actually made a transition into the office, which is a good thing, right? Like, this is good on my body. This is a promotion. This is a good thing. Dude, DJ, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Those first, like, 3 months were so hard for me because I felt so insecure because I
mm,
wasn't being a man anymore and working out in the field. I mean,
yeah,
that's when, like, of course I knew better, but that's when it really hit me, like, dude, this is some heavy stuff. Like, for me to, like you said, right? Our brain understands it, but then those emotions take over, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's heavy. I want to I want to transition that a little bit too now into, this is your journey, what you're going through, but you're also raising kids, and you're
yeah.
also working with kids, right? You've been working with kids for how many years now?
It had been 9 years. This is actually the first year that I'm not directly working with youth.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
how does that all connect? I mean, how have you noticed, or what would you say would be the differences in you doing your own inner work with now building relationships with children, helping them out and guiding them in a good direction?
Yeah. Um, I do want to comment on, I get that the struggle of, that you shared about moving into the office. because of the work that I do, right? It's not very physical. It's relationship oriented. Even now, I'm doing more community organizing type work, advocating. And so it's not, along the way to make ends meet, I've had side jobs, that were physical labor, but I would always feel this insecurity talking to my father-in-law, because all he does is break his back, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I had a hard day," and I would have emotionally hard days, but I know I can't be like, "Yeah, me too," I'm like, so that that is the weight that I carried even out while doing the work. Sometimes um yeah, so on the work that I did, most of my experience within the mental health world was around what they call wraparound services, where you, rather than a kid coming to the office, you're out in the community with them, you're in their home, you're with them I would spend 3 to 4 hours with kids and families at a time, 4 to 5 days a week sometimes. So I built these relationships, and I got to see, it's a privilege to work in folks' homes, because you get to see them in their vulnerable states, and so I always felt like I was able to pinpoint and kind of see, like, and how parents see, like, oh, here's the disconnect, you're saying this, but they're not hearing that, or this is how this kid versus this kid is different in your own home. They need different things, so I was able to really develop a skill for it. I worked hard at trying to get better at it. And so I always recognize that there's so much more that we could be doing as parents before I was a parent. So I always looked forward to having my own kids, because I felt like I'm going to have the skills. I want to do it the right way. I have way more skills and knowledge than my parents had access to, even, and so I always looked forward to that opportunity. My oldest, my daughter's 8. I've got a 5-year-old son, and then we had a surprise for twins that are now 4. So the kids, once we started having kids, they started stacking up real quick, and all that the hopes and aspirations, I felt like would just melt away, because when I would go work with families, I would go in fresh. Sure, I had my own stress and my own thing going on at home, but I could go in, and I wasn't part of the trauma and the stress in that home that I was in, so I could navigate. I didn't really have didn't really have much at stake, right? And so now, with my own kids, I'm like, yeah. Someone in the comments said that their buttons weren't yours. Yeah. So I would see these kids or the parents get triggered. They would get, they know how to push each other's buttons. And again, this is what I learned with Perla. Perla and I knew how to push each other's buttons, And so I was able to see it. I'm like, that doesn't bother me, and I would see, the kids that I worked with, they had really high needs. They really explosive behavior, holes in walls, physical aggression. It was complicated stuff. But in my head, I was like, that means I can handle anything. I worked with,
it's not that
yeah,
difficult.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like a 6-month-old baby, bro. I've worked with 18-year-old guys who are bigger than me on substances, like, I got this, and I did not have it. I did not have it because, when you first get the kid, when you first meet your child, right? Those first couple of months are physically exhausting. You don't get sleep, you're drained. And then it's just like playing. I felt a lot of times like it's just playing catch up. Like you almost never rebound from that. It's no sleep, and then it's diapers, and then it's potty training, and then it's school, and then there's all these challenges, and they keep changing. Whereas the work that I did, it was like this one kind of age range, and we kind of stayed with it. And I was good with teens. I was good with teens and young adults, but the little ones I just struggled with because I couldn't communicate. I couldn't. It just required a whole different skill set than I had. And what I realized, again, I want to stress, because I realized so much of the work is about learning and practicing skills. But what I would even sometimes forget in the work with families is, before you can receive or access your skills, you have to be in an emotional and physical space where you can access those skills. So the minute you're stressed, you're not able to be your best self. your brain is dysregulated, your adrenaline's going, so you're not thinking logically, you're thinking instinctually, and you go into habit and you just do what comes naturally, and you don't get to do all the great ideas that you had planned in your head because that goes out the window because you're dysregulated. And so that's kind of been where my work had for myself has kind of settled in, where I realized that's where I had to put more energy in, is to regulating myself, finding ways to keep myself centered, because I know I have the skills, I know I have the intention, and those are great things, intention and skills. The last thing is I just have to be able to access that and remember that, and that requires regulation, and I really suck at it. Perla is really good, and I'm so grateful to have a partner who can help me with that. She's been my coach in helping me to regulate myself. um, but that's the biggest game changer. And it's funny because I look back and I'm like, yeah, that's what we would tell families, is like regulate yourself and then also learn and practice new skills. But
They're like, guys, it's easy. This is all you need to
easy.
do. Follow the
It's two
steps.
steps.
And
Yeah,
then you throw like all these emotions into the recipe, and it just falls apart, right? But there's
for
there's
sure.
a there's a very important key there, though, bro, which I want to give you flowers about, which is the vulnerability that you're bringing to the table right now. It shows confidence, which I could tell is from all the work that you've been doing within yourself, right? Like to know yourself at the point where, hey, I'm not perfect, but I know my flaws. I know where I want to work. I like that requires a level of confidence to be able to say things like that, right? And it's also a level of vulnerability. Like that's hard to do, especially as men. I struggle with that a lot because I felt that if I told DJ that I struggle with something, DJ was going to hold one over me now,
Hmm.
and that's something that's very difficult. And you brought up something that I think is also an important reminder, even for myself, which is balance and staying present, right? Because you said like we're always keeping up, and I'm like, dude, that resonates heavy. Like as a problem solver, right? Like I have to
Yeah,
solve
yeah,
everything as a dad. I'm like, okay, he's doing this. Well, let me figure this out. And it's like I bring it back to the table, and I'm like, cool, I fixed it. And I'm like, well, he's already 4, bro. That was for the 3-year-old. Like you know what I mean? And it's like
yeah,
I'm constantly just like, oh, I figured this out. Nope, he already outgrew that. And I'm like, oh, dude, I have to also relax. Um, how has the different ages with your children, and I have one, you have 3. And if there's one thing that I know is part of parenting, bro, is also understanding that while we have skills and while there are certain things that we want to guide them and provide and teach them, it's not a one size fits all, and they have different personalities.
yeah,
How has that been for you, right? Trying to
yeah,
give the same wisdom to 3 different personalities.
yeah.
Or
It's
4, I'm sorry, because you have the
yeah,
twins and 2, right? I'm
yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
yeah. And I got a 2-for-1 with the twins. Yeah. Um, and having, man, shout out to all twin parents. I think there's a special even category for twins,
Oh
because they
yeah.
hype each other up, and our twins especially. I call them the cholas because they like, they're a little mob. There's 2 of them. Imagine like all the things that one kid would get into. Imagine having a hype man who's like, yeah, do that. Like, let's ride on the walls. And they hype each other. They also box with each other. Like, that they're also, they hang out. So there's a stress within them. Um, but yeah, the challenge, I would say, is just having kids at these different phases. And I think one of the challenges is learning how to give them each what they need at those different phases.
Mm.
um and then you would even think, my daughter's 8, my son's 5, so you would think, well, I've had a 5-year-old before, I know how to do this. My son's a completely different person. His needs are completely different.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and someone had in the last conversation last weekend had mentioned, I think it was about fighting or biting or something, and what do you do when another kid, and I just, what I remembered, and kind of one of my learnings has been like, you can't learn how to anticipate and prepare for every scenario. The best thing you can do is just try to slow down and process as much as you can, and teach those critical thinking skills. So it's something that looks different at every age, age and phase. But I think that's kind of where me and Perla have tried to spend our energy, is just, um, rather than hoping that there's a one size fits all reaction or response. Really trying to sit there and ask yourself, okay, like, well, why is this triggering my son when it didn't trigger my daughter? How come he isn't able to sit there and just sit still for 5 minutes, whereas she was? Or and so not comparing kids, I guess, is something really basic. Just not comparing them, not expecting the same things from them, and giving ourselves the grace that they're all different. They're all different, and we're not going to be able to. It's always going to be learning. And I think on a real basic level, part of it is just like kind of giving up on the idea that you're going to be perfect, giving up on the idea that you're not going to make a mistake, and maybe even flip that and affirm, rather than focusing on the positive, right? The positive is if you're making mistakes, then you're able to learn. That means you're trying new things. So
Yeah.
if you're not making mistakes, you're also not learning, and kind of staying in that mindset has really been helpful for navigating the four different phases we got going on.
I love that, dude. I love that. Just keeping like that positive intentional attitude, right? And I know I've been guilty of it, and I think maybe a lot of parents could agree of like, rather than getting to know your child for who they are, like comparing, right? Or even a sense of frustration of like, God, why does DJ always backlash on this, but my other child doesn't? And
Mhm.
I know we don't do it maliciously. A lot of us, it's just the frustration, but I've also learned how that can be very like detrimental for the children, is like, well, I'm being compared, right? Or I'm supposed to
Yeah,
be a certain way. Like maybe it's not the man box, but like there is an expectation of how the child is supposed to be. And it's like, it's not fair. They just should be themselves. Um,
yeah,
and one thing I've learned too, bro, which you bring up a great point, is like, we don't always have to do something about it.
mhm,
Like something for me that was like very, very triggering was like when my son would give like a little bit of attitude about having to do something, like, Papa, I need you to get in the shower. And it's like, and to me it was like, ooh, like, how dare you? And I as I was able to learn, it was very triggering, because I know that if I ever did that, or if anybody in the house ever did that, something was gonna happen. And so, and what I've learned is, instead of trying to figure out like, how can I get that to stop? What can I do? It was like, hey, I need him to shower. Is he doing it? Yes. Did he did he get upset? Of course. He processed his emotions. And then I kind of bounce it back, and I'm like, sometimes I wake up grumpy in the mornings. I don't want to get up. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, or I'm sure you have
yeah.
days, bro, where you're like,
Oh
you
man.
want to do shit, like, and you do it. But so to me, I look at it similar to you, where I'm like, this is cool, man, because at 6 years old, I'm already like, as a dad, I'm already able, and we have like this responsibility to allow them to process those things. It's getting done, right? And
Yeah,
I tell myself,
yeah,
like, what'd you need him to do? Shower. He did it. He wasn't being
yeah,
disrespectful. Like, he did it. Let him
yeah,
have his moment. And as the time has gone on, and I realized that it's like, it's not a struggle, right? Just like I'm having to practice to allow him to process. I would from what I see in him, I'm like, it's giving him time to practice too, where it's like, all right, I'll shower. It's like, all right, cool.
yeah,
This doesn't have to turn into a big old thing. I don't always have to fix the little tantrum. Let it be.
yeah.
Process what you're feeling. And also,
That,
one thing I wanted to ask you too. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's real. I really appreciate you pointing that, 'cause I think that's something that Perla has really helped me with, is like, let's just let this breathe for a minute. I also think, you know, uh, again, I think this is probably one of those things that maybe a lot of us grow up with, is whether it's yelling or constant punishment, is realizing, like, you're also kind of conditioning your kid to accept this is the norm. And this is something that I did see with the families that I would work with. The families that I would work with were at such a peak level of trauma and stress, it became normal. And you would literally be able to see it in their physical ability to physically regulate themselves. They could go from a full out, this close to a fist fight, yelling, hating each other, and then within a second flip. And they had learned how to go to peak stress and then come down from it really quick, because they're constantly going to stress. They're constantly going to that level. Whereas me, I get worked up, and it takes me a minute. I'm like, no, I can't calm down. I can't just breathe. I told them to go shower, and this has been going on for 5 minutes. It shouldn't have, and I just, you hype yourself up. You tell yourself the story. I'm the parent. They should listen to me. And none of that is really productive. None of that is helping the situation, and really spending more time in the positive space. I know our culture, meaning us young people of color, who have been working on themselves. I know we get, shitted on by the larger mainstream about this idea of participation trophies and being soft. And it's not that. I think the way that I've looked at it is really practicing positivity, practicing winning. You want your kid to do something, but if they feel like they never ever do anything right, a lot of us have felt that where you felt like no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. And that leads to giving up. That leads to quitting. So when it comes to showering, I have to be able to spend as much energy and time highlighting the times that it goes right, so that my daughter doesn't get into this mindset, well, I never do showers right, it's always a fight, so that's just the norm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. And I have two things on that. One, which I agree, our generation gets a lot of shit for being soft and because we're in tune with our emotions, and especially as men, right? Like we're doing something very radical, bro. Like trying to normalize this. It's almost crazy looking back a couple years that the thought of therapy was like, that's for crazy people. And
Yeah.
now to just have normal conversations, I'm like, whoa, it's almost weird not to talk about it? And something
Yeah.
I always kind of find interesting with that is like if we talk about accountability, this generation that gets shit on a lot for where we're at, and again, it's not hate because at the end of the day, my goal is to bridge the gap. Like we all want to come
Yeah.
together, right? But like when we talk about accountability, I can't help but ask the question, who raised them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If y'all were so
Yeah.
tough and y'all were so good at what you were doing, then what happened, right? And so yeah, it's just that's to me it's a very interesting conversation, especially like even like you said, the winning. I think winning is a big one where you're absolutely right. I'm a very competitive person myself, but especially at a young age, not every single kid is going to win first place. And while I think it's important to challenge them to be competitive, when they don't, what do you leave them with? Right? And the reality is, like you said, we could always be winning. There's always a reason to win. And that doesn't take away from the fact that we can push for more, but it's a new
Mm-hmm.
concept. And I think people become afraid. And so they're like, if we're praising something that isn't first place, then it's a problem. And I've learned is that it's projections. And unfortunately, it's people that haven't done their own inner work that are like, I wasn't seen for getting third place. Why should you be seen? And to
Yes.
me, I'm like, bro, that's where we need to start. Like these conversations are good because we're like, nah, we're not saying that you're wrong, but like you always deserve to be loved. You don't need the first place to do it,
Yes.
you know?
Yes, that idea, like, yeah, I never got props for third place. Why should you get props? And it's a really small thing, but you see that mindset in other things. They say hurt people hurt people. And it's this idea like I was hurt. That should just be the no. And it's like, yeah, but did you grow? Was that beneficial for you? I want to bring up, and I know we had previously talked about it. I love it. I think you had used the analogy last week when it comes to therapy. You know, I think about physical health. Can you get your physical health? Can you have improvements? Just at home by yourself, not having invested in any kind of equipment or a coach or a trainer, or a gym membership. Can you get physically healthy on your own? Sure, but it's a lot easier when you have somebody who can help you with that accountability. It's a lot easier when you have somebody who has more skills in that realm than you do, who has more experience with what's worked for other people. And going to the gym is actually something that I've done for my ADHD. My therapist told me, I was at the point where I was like, yeah, I realize how my ADHD has affected my life. I'm like, just give me a pill. Essentially, I was like, give me something that's going to help with it. And she's like, a pill's going to require this level of consistency. You have to take it, regularly. It's almost like, in some ways, you might be dependent on it, not physically, but you're going to feel like, in order to be productive, I need this. And she's like, spend all that energy on a physical routine first, whether it's running, the gym, because that's one of those ways that we physically regulate our body. We flush our adrenaline system, our limbic system. You have to do that for your body. So much of our lives is sedentary, especially as men. I feel like one thing that we see is like this toxic aggression, and there's no outlet for it. Like you can be spending that energy and expel that energy in a positive way. I start my day at the gym, and even in my gym journey, I've realized a lot of truths that have helped me accept the mental health work that I have to do. Tracking your progress. This ability to track your progress and also have a goal requires you to be able to acknowledge your wins and continue to want to do better. And I share that because I feel like that the physical health, whether guys are trying to get ripped or trying to lose weight, and some of that might be based in what they feel society is telling them they have to look like physically or feel like physically, whatever that is. Men, I feel like often feel like that's normal. They can rationalize that, like,
at least gravitate to that, right? Like that makes the most
yeah.
sense. Yeah, I hear you. I hear
Yeah,
you.
and that same mentality should be used for mental health. If I say I got a personal trainer, nobody would shame me for that. No, nobody would shame me for having a gym membership and trying to get some work done. No one
That,
would shame me for when I celebrate that I lift 5 more pounds, or can run for 5 more minutes. Nobody would shame me for that. Um,
right.
but the minute you start to say I'm working on my mental health, it's not always there. Um, I do want to say, just because I hope we're talking to more dads out there, and I hope we can inspire. I feel like and I'm curious about your experience, but I feel like what's really helped me is that I am lucky enough to have men in my life. My brother especially. Um, Sorry, my brother. My dad's had a lot of growth. Uh, but my homies, a lot of the guys that I went to school with, we stay connected, and we've been able to hold that space for each other. At this point, I know at least 3 or 4 of my friends have also gone to therapy. And uh, I have heard from them that they only felt comfortable sharing that with me because I went first. And so I want to encourage folks to go first. To be vulnerable, because that encourages others to share their story. And the thing is, we don't need to be ashamed about it. Like, we should be encouraging it. And I know, I think you mentioned, I saw in the comments, there's this idea of like, well, I'm not crazy, or my life isn't falling apart. I don't have anything huge that I need to work through, so I don't
Turned
need
out
that.
okay. Turned out okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
wanted to start getting some of these questions to you,
sure,
DJ. And
sure.
as you're talking, you're like starting to answer a lot of them. I'm like, okay, you're touching on this one, you're touching on this one. But I do want to ask you guys some of these questions that are coming in the Q&A chat here. We may not get to all of them. And if we don't, we will connect both of you to the questions and you can answer them. You can answer them on your Insta stories and tag Latinx Parenting. We can reshare them. And I do hope that Juan Carlos, that you continue these conversations on your podcast, please, because these are so good. They can definitely get more in depth in there. I want to hear more from DJ for sure. I love all of your life experience and your personal experience and where it all blends. But one of the questions you were just speaking to, DJ, that I'll ask you is, how does one navigate through the changes of becoming a father, being a better father, being a better partner, being a better person if family does not approve? Example, they might say nothing's wrong with you or you don't need therapy. So you were just speaking to like advocating and really promoting that. So what would you, how else would you answer that?
um no one shames you when you want to get stronger or faster. And so I think that's the kind of mindset we need. It's like, yeah, I might not have anything huge, but if I wanted to go back to school, to get my real estate license, or to learn something, anything, especially in our age, I would allude and make analogies to things that our family and friends can understand. And so I think, for most men, I feel like physical health is probably one. But entrepreneurship, nobody shames you when you say, well, I want to learn how to host a podcast. And so with your mental health, recognizing like, yeah, maybe in your eyes, I don't have, this huge trauma to over, to work through, or I don't have this huge lacking in your eyes, right? But for myself, what I expect and want for myself is better, you know?
I dig that. I
Absolutely.
mean, he said it perfectly. And the one thing I'll add to that is you talked about friends, and I think as I've had healthier conversations with men and have met people that have hold good spaces for me, I've realized like part of the good advice from friends and people making you feel safe has also allowed me for self discovery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been wrong about things, but I didn't have people pointing fingers at me. I had people that were listening to me, people that were encouraging me. And through that, I realized like, oh, maybe this isn't how I actually felt. Maybe I was just being defensive because I thought guys were going to come at me sideways and they didn't. And then I'm getting to know myself as well, like you said, right? Like learning your own triggers, learning your own defense mechanisms and how you cope with certain things. So, yeah.
Yeah, and vulnerability, right? When you're vulnerable around other people, like this, like these conversations, you're giving other folks the the strength, the possibility to also be vulnerable. I have done it recently where I talk about my journey all the time with family, and my brother-in-law, who's going through his own journey, said to my sister-in-law, like, I really love how Carissa is so comfortable speaking about what she's going through. And that's kind of giving him the motivation to talk more about it and to be more comfortable with it. So I love that. The other questions that we got around your ADHD, DJ, which I can really relate to, also living with ADHD and depression and anxiety, they all love to come party at different times, and it's challenging, right? One of them you answered, and then I'll kind of I'll read both of these, but how did you manage your ADHD without medication? You spoke to this. And then the other one is, I have to say some of the most brilliant and beautiful people I know have ADHD diagnosis. But it's also got some serious challenges. So DJ, can you comment more on how ADHD has influenced your parenting?
Yeah. One of the things that we would say doing the work that I did with youth and families was, if you want to teach something, you have to model it. Especially, or that's one of the best ways to teach it. You can lecture a 17-year-old all you want. They're gonna look at how you act and how you behave. That's kind of our fascination with celebrity culture. Especially young folks. It's like, oh, I see where they're at and I want that. So then you try to emulate that, right? And even, research shows that most people are better visual learners, than they are to just hear something or even read something. Those things help, read some books, listen to some podcasts, but you know, watch and learn where you can. So just using modeling as a tool, as one of those skills, with families, also helped me, and my therapist even told me, she's like, you got to have a routine. If you leave it up to your brain with ADHD, your brain's going to go everywhere. And so it's not going to be easy, but you have to set the goal of having a routine so that your body and your mind get used to, first we do this, then we do that, and we have to move into these different channels. And that's why I start my day with physical exercise, because it does help me kind of flush my limbic system and get the energy out and kind of quiet my brain, any of the anxiety and depression that I'm working through. Like my, the physical exercise helps me regulate myself. And that's part of my routine. And Perla has been really supportive and valuing that the same way I value, or would value medication or other things for my mental health. So prioritizing it as if my health and my life depend on this routine, which is a lot of pressure. Maybe you all don't need that, but it's helped me, and
Yeah.
that's impacted my parenting, because I realize that's what kids need. Kids need assistance with regulation, so they need you to help them balance their physical as well as their mental and emotional needs. So you have to have some structured playtime. You have to have some structured creative time. So, and so with our kids, we really, my first 8-year-old, she didn't have a bedtime. It was just whenever. We didn't know any better. We all want to watch Netflix, and who cares? She didn't have school, and realizing that kind of set her up, for a challenge when it did require her to have a bedtime. So having as much as possible a consistent routine, so that your kids also know what to expect. They know, well, we always have to eat dinner right after this time, or if we're gonna play, it has to be before this time. If we're gonna watch, if we're gonna have any kind of screen time, it's before dinner. After dinner, that goes. We can't be in. Just letting them know what the rules are so that they can adapt. A lot of times we change things as parents. A lot of times as adults, we don't have that consistency, and our kids see that, and they expect to be able to have that same fluidity. Which there's a time and place for that, but that routine, I can't stress enough how routine has helped me with my ADHD, and how modeling has helped me with my parenting.
Yes, yes. And it's a constant learning, I feel like, when you are a neurodivergent parent, and even when you're raising a neurodivergent child, is that you have to constantly learn and be willing to learn about yourself. And echoing all of that you're saying, routine and just learning about what works for you. For me, addressing like, what are my needs right now? What do I need to show up as the parent that my daughter needs? Because that's what they need. And yeah, that was great. Carlos, did you want to add?
I just, man, I'm not, like, is that the last question?
There are a couple more. There's actually one for you, Juan Carlos. You mentioned a retreat. And so can you drop the info again, maybe in the chat, and then maybe we can send it to us and we can put it in our email as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send that over to you and then we can post that on the stories.
Yeah, you mentioned a San Diego retreat. So they're asking for the info. We want to get that out.
Oh, yeah, we'll get that going. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, bro. Thank you for being so vulnerable, for being so open about what I love is you bring facts, you bring tools, you bring skills, and you bring a story. And resonating, I think, is half of what bridging the gap is really about, you know. And so I hope that we were able to give hope to men out there that maybe are hesitant about starting the journey, as well as maybe fuel for those that have started it and sometimes feel like, nah, you know, we can't, right? And so um and you brought it up, you said it perfectly, man, which is you know, be the first, be the
Yeah.
first and be brave enough to do it. And know that it is difficult, you know, for us, I think, as brothers, right, for us that have started the journey of therapy, to remind ourselves the power and the beauty and being confident in addressing that, right, and wearing that on our sleeves. And for those of us that are afraid to talk about it, know that there are spaces and that there are men out there that will celebrate you. um I always like to share that when I first started going to therapy, dude, I actually would take my son to my dad to watch him, and I would actually tell my dad that I would go do a side job because I was like,
Mm,
I don't want my family asking questions. Like that's I knew that I wanted to, but I was so afraid. And so I was like, hey, dad, like
yeah.
I'm gonna go do a side job. Can you watch my son? And I shit you not, it was a 30-minute session, but I would stay out of the house for 4 or 5 hours
Yeah.
just so that so he wouldn't question, like, what
Yeah.
the heck, what kind of job do you go do in 30 minutes, you
Yeah.
know. And you know, a lot of it, as I learned over time, was not my dad not being supportive. It was a lot of what I thought wasn't there too, you know. And it's not
Mm,
about like shitting on my dad necessarily, just it was all in my head that I thought I couldn't go to anyone, and there was so much shame tied to it. I say that because I'm aware that it's a scary thing to do, and it's not easy, but know that there are a lot of us going through this. As always, I want to thank the Latinx parenting team for giving us as men this space to talk about these things. Um, Even for us to be vulnerable and to be safe, to feel safe to be vulnerable, because it's not an easy thing. Like the vulnerability hangover is a real thing,
Mm.
you know. Like
yeah.
next day you're like, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. And so thank you guys for all of this. Thank you to everyone in the chat that has been here for these last 3 weeks. If it's your first week, I'm glad you're here. I really am glad you're here. DJ, thank you so much for your
Yes,
vibes,
there are so many folks in the chat that want to share this convo. So the recording is going to be going out. I know that we are just approaching time, but I do want to ask you this one last question, because I think it would be a great way to end the conversation, DJ. From Freddie is, how do you maintain your possibility thinking, aka he calls dreams? How do you keep your dreams alive when you saw so much pain and trauma normalized in the world?
Um, I the way I do it is I have depression. You know, I have these bouts of depression, right? I have
Yeah,
these bouts
yeah,
of
the
depression,
weight
and
on your
when I'm in those,
shoulders.
when I'm in those spaces, you know, the stories that I tell myself are not based in hope. They're not based in dreams, and I feel depleted. I have no motivation. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. So, um, I realize from those experiences, right, that the opposite is also true. Um, you know, when I have a dream, I'm more motivated. I have the energy. You know, when I truly believe something's possible, you know, I'm more willing to put in the work, and that might, you know, I just, yeah, I need to see direct connections and facts. I'm a very, you know, a tangible person like that, and so I also had to learn how to feed that for myself. So I would look at people who I've seen, you know, do the work, and again, just use them as models, and for telling myself, you know, the things that I want, the things that I want to be, you know, the growth I want to have is possible. And I've seen it, you know, here and here. And I also know, you know, those people also struggle, you know, and it's also not perfect. I look back at who I was, also reflecting, and again, how we talked about earlier, practicing, identifying where I won, where I wanted, where I've set the goal to have something, and I got it. You know, like sitting in that win, because of the hunger for more, at least for me, is always there. You know, but I have to be able to nourish myself, and tell myself that it's actually possible.
Mm.
Love that. I love that. And even just real quick, like while we want to get there, we don't have to wait to get there to be happy and to be at
Yeah.
peace.
Yes.
I've
Oh,
been guilty
yes.
of that too, bro. Like when I buy my house, when I do this, when I do that, that's what's gonna put me at peace. And then
Right.
I've learned that it's like there's always
Prolonging the
something,
happiness, right? Like, no, it's
and then
possible
you're just
throughout the
and then you're
journey.
like stuck like living in highs, right? Like
Yeah.
seeking and seeking and seeking. Yeah, love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Yes, thank you all for being here. This is the end of this conversation, but not the end of the Brown Fatherhood series just yet. So we will be live next Saturday as well. The time is a little bit different, just to note. Instead of starting at 10 a.m. Pacific, it's starting at 11 a.m. Pacific, and it's not an hour, it's actually an hour and a half, because it's a panel amongst 4 fathers that are local to here in Orange County, where Latinx parenting was born. A lot of them are local to Santana, where Leslie and I were born as well. So we're really excited for that longer conversation. And like I mentioned, Juan Carlos, like take these convos and go longer in the Modern Macho podcast. If you're not already following, be a listener to the podcast, because and there are other groups. So we will share more resources at the culmination of the series, for everyone to continue doing the work, being inspired and sharing. Please continue to share. If you're on the journey, share with other people that are interested and ready. Thank
Absolutely.
you all so much for being here and taking time on your Saturday morning. It's precious, precious time. So if you're here, like,
Yeah.
incredible. Thank you so much for being here.
Sorry. Can I also thank Juan Carlos? Thank you for the work that you're doing. That's near and dear to my heart, as is the work that Latinx parenting does. I think it's much needed, and I'm so honored to be able to be a part of what it is that you all provide. And thank you everybody for your time as well, for investing in yourselves and being part of these conversations.
Love it. So much love. My cup is full. My cup is full.
Okay.
Have a great weekend, everyone.